So if we look at your setup on the right hand side now, certainly a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay, you kind of went through kind of a sequence here now. If you'll just go with it gradually, club down behind the golf ball. Starts a little bit low, as you can see, and then you sort of build into it, and you get in a much better position, okay, which is very nice there, okay. Now compared to this, when you sort of drag the ball in there, you can see before you even set up your down low there to start with, the club sort of tub that, and you get even lower and lower and lower, and again from there it's very hard to swing at all. I mean, really hunched and just it's a difficult position. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's very. I mean, imagine trying to drive a car from. You'd struggle to do anything of any success to in that position. Sure. Okay, maybe duck under a low ledge or whatever. But as you go back there with the club now, it's going to be a lot shorter. I mean, there's no backswing at all. You can't go back any further. So you're trying to create power now from a very short backswing, which is why we lose a bit of distance, okay? Now, from this position here now, there's a little bit of hunch there in the back there, which we're going to start trying to straighten out a little bit. But from that length backswing there, that's kind of your full length backswing here. You compare that one to this one when you go back.
Yeah.
That's a lot further, isn't it?
It's a lot better.
So by having a better posture, we've almost doubled, if not more so, your length of backswing. Now, the reason this swing felt a little bit strange, okay, the swing actually didn't feel any different, but the contact was, as you started coming back to this golf ball here now, and this is basically human error, okay? As you're at the golf ball, you've caught the golf ball off the toe of the club. Right. So you've missed it the sweet spot by about an inch. Now, when you're swinging the club,
because my head wasn't looking at the ball?
Not at all. Nothing to do with it. I mean, what a lot of people think, I mean, your head's looking at the ball there, your eyes looking down there. That is just purely human. If I said to you now, Andrew, here's a hammer, okay, stand here now and hit that tee peg back here every single time on that tee peg, there'll be sometimes you miss it. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you miss it, okay? It's just pure. Maybe we did a DIY, But that is just purely human error, okay? The problem with this game of golf is people hit shots like this and they go, why do I do it? And they always want an answer. It's tough. I mean, if it was a consistent mistake over and over, you get 4 shots there, first one was great, second 2 were like this, fourth one was great. I mean, the last one was about 120 yards there, nice and straight, okay? So the strike there was good, okay? These slightly missed it shots, if your club was to come back on here, or to come back here, okay, the difference in those two, you wouldn't notice, because the club's travelling about 15 feet at a good 60-ish mile an hour. You wouldn't notice the difference, okay? So it's just sometimes human error. As long as your setup, though, was better, as you can see in this case, the shot goes a little bit low, because obviously the energy to the golf ball now is not going to be as great because the contact was missing, okay? And to the target, okay? Now, we're going to start you getting a little bit more movement to start trying to feel the swing. You said don't feel the swing flowing quite so much, okay?
I feel it very
restricted and stiff, and it looks a bit kind of tight. Now, a lot of that's come from the fact when you were in this sort of hunch position, you had to be. You just couldn't physically swing from there. Just because you're in a better position now, it could still get a little bit straighter. We're going to work on sort of the movement there, okay? So some of the exercises we'll talk about in a second now. We're going to try and increase that range of motion.
My feet, am I kind of not moving my feet or body enough, or?
Well, mainly your body, obviously. When your feet will move as a result of your body moving through. As you go through here now, the feet sort of move a little bit, okay? They could move a little bit more, but the body needs to move more to allow the feet to. If you just start trying to kick your legs and move your knees independently, you'll probably just topple over, okay? So in the golf swing, this causes this to move, this causes that to move, and these cause those to move, okay? If we try and independently move them in the golf swing, everything else above that's going to fall over, and you'd be like, ooh, almost like playing golf on a trampoline.
Do you think I need to swing?
Get a little bit more. I think there's a couple of practice drills we can do. The simplest one you can do as much as you can, okay? You could stand in a sort of golfing posture, and when I say that, always try to be disciplined with your golfing posture. If you're stood kind of just straight up here, okay, it's so easy to rotate. There's no kind of stretch or kind of workout, okay? We want to make sure that we're in this golfing posture over the golf ball, so your head would be there, and the arms and so on hanging down like so. But what you would do is get a golf club and simply rest it across your shoulders, okay? So you start getting the feeling of when you swing a golf club of how your body is going to rotate, okay? And get the movement of the body to work better, okay? At the moment now it's very much, I think you were sort of edging towards that phrase when you said, oh, did I miss it, that golf, because I wasn't looking at the ball, or was I lifting my head, which is something that a lot of people often think, okay? If we try to keep the head down, we can't move our body. We want the body to rotate and to move and so on, and get a bit more kind of a flow. And the swing of the club will get longer, which in turn will give you the feeling you've got better rhythm. If the club is swinging longer, it takes slower to complete.
I think that's a problem. I really don't feel as if everything's coordinated.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the moment you have got a kind of... Yeah, exactly. So as the club goes back here now, It's not too bad there. It's a little bit we call shut or a bit hooded where the club goes back, okay?
Yeah.
You start hinging your wrist okay here now. Not a bad movement there in terms of the lower half there, okay? As we come back to the golf ball now, as you swing through, again, reasonable strike is getting that body to rotate, the hips and so on, and the lower half to rotate with the top half. So getting the top half to work would be one thing with that club across the shoulders to practice that. The other one is a simple little drill you can practice, okay? If I go to setup, rest the club onto your left foot. So you'd be holding a golf club, Joe, like this on your left foot, and simply practice taking your right hip over to that left foot. Okay? Now when we do this, we're trying to move the hip over there. We're not trying to just lean the shoulder over there, okay? Your shoulders and hips should move the same amount. Okay? Now I actually get all my students to do is we have a little bit of difficulty maybe start with to do this. Say twice a day for 2 minutes in front of the mirror when you're brushing your teeth. You just stand there and you just do that as much as you can to try and get this feeling. Because if your swing or your body, which is at the engine of the golf swing there, Joe, can start working a little bit more fluidly, then the rhythm of that swing is going to go. If your swing is kind of this way, it feels like a very snatchy kind of jab with the arm. There's no rhythm, there's no smoothness to that movement, is there? And especially if your back was as hunched as you were, you couldn't move. And I think a little bit of this, because your go-to, shall we say, because you mentioned this obviously last lesson, was this, okay? You've never been able to rotate your body that much anyway. Just because now you're in a better position doesn't mean you will automatically rotate better. You have to kind of think, okay, I need to rotate my body better. I'll start moving it, okay? And that's, I think, a little bit of practice getting used to that, okay? Because when we start moving the body, that club now is going to get in a different position to what you're used to. The contact when we come back down will be slightly different, as we said. You're not always going to guarantee striking the ball at the middle of the golf club. There'll be a few errors side to side. But again, that's just human error, changing the swing and the club being in a different position and you adapting to that. If we see a bad shot and go, oh, that was terrible, I'll change something else. You go round this vicious circle of just constantly changing things over and over again until you find that lucky move. You might get a good one. Then you change 7 things. What one thing they do to cause that good shot? You don't know, do you? Okay, so really discipline with that setup. And then in terms of the movement, I will sort of showcase a bit more in detail with you, but just get that body movement better, practicing at home, even in golf balls. Just getting this movement now in your body a lot more rather than this motion. Okay, does that make sense?